Good morning, friends. I thought maybe today we would talk about seed gathering. I've got a bunch of things in my garden that have gone to seed and I wanted to gather them up. So I thought I'd take you on a walk and we'll talk about what that looks like, and then I'll take you inside and I actually have gathered a bunch of seeds and I'll show you a couple different kinds of pods and how you harvest them. So let's get started. Okay, so the first couple of things we're going to look at are some things along my pathway. So you'll see, actually I'm not going to harvest these. I might deadhead these, but this is a coneflower or echinacea. And basically what you want to do if you want to save things for seeds is you have to let them look crappy for a while. So you want them, so this one's still really green. You can tell it's the leaves are still on it. It's just starting to go brown. These are too young to harvest for seeds. So if you're going to harvest for seeds, what you want to do is, the best rule of thumb is you want the whole thing to go brown like that. And then you can kind of see right here where if you look at like this one that's green, the stem is still green. Whereas these ones that are ready to come off and the seeds are all ready to come out of here, these are brown. So it's going down here. So you just take that, I usually just take it down to wherever the brown ends, and then this would be the thing you're going to bring inside to harvest. I actually have a bunch of coneflowers inside already and I don't need any more. I may harvest these actually. Let's just do it because sorry, I'm not sure. That would be my dog. I'm not sure what he's barking at, but so you just go right here and you go snip, snip, and snip. I'm going to save these because actually the coneflowers I have inside came from my dad's house and they are huge. And these are actually a dwarf variety, so I would like something that's a little smaller. So then, this is, oh Lord, I'm going to forget what this one is. I'm not actually going to save seeds from this year, but these seed pods are actually ready. This is a little bit different. So you can see these actually, when you touch the seed pods so this is a fresh one, right? So there's kind of stages, and this plant's actually a good one to show you. So this is a fresh bloom. This one has just opened. It's got the yellow in the center with the red. This one's a little bit older. All the yellow is gone. It's turned completely red, but it still looks really healthy. This is a spent bloom head that's not quite ready, but it's got these cute little puff balls on it, so it's still got some interest. But then when they're ready to be harvested, they get these are really soft. They're not prickly at all. They get kind of crunchy and prickly. And then what you can do is you're gonna pinch and pull, and you get this fuzz out, and these are your seeds. So for something like this that has pods like this, you're basically pulling the fuzz off of them to harvest the seeds. Kind of like a dandelion. And then the last thing out here that I'm going to show you how to do, these are the things that I think daisies and coneflowers are generally the easiest things to harvest flowers for. And I left one of the coneflowers out here specifically to show you. So these are exactly the same thing. So this is a fresh bloom head. And the thing about harvesting seeds is you have to be willing to let your plants get ugly, because if I deadhead this, it's going to push new blooms and it would be really pretty, but it's really ugly right now. So you have these black, basically they turn black. So this is, sorry about all the car noise this morning. It's a Sunday morning. I don't know why people are up this early running around here, but whatever. So this is a spent bloom head, but it's not quite ready. You can see it's still got some color. It's still got petals, and the stalk is still green. So all of these are black already, and then the stems are starting to die just like the other one. So these, you can basically do the same thing. You're just going to go through and deadhead them, and then I just bring a bowl. Like I brought this bowl out with me, And these look totally different from the coneflower, so I can mix them. But if they look the same, like when I harvested, that's also a Shasta, but it's a short and wide Shasta. This is a tall Shasta. I kept them separate. But make sure you label them, because I didn't label them. I kept them separate but didn't label them, so now I don't know which one is which. So you're just basically going to go through here and snip whatever you want to off, just like you're deadheading. Normally I would have two hands doing this, so this is a little messier than it would be I would catch with the other hand, but I'm just going to start by snipping some of these. So you just take them, and then basically you just gather the seed heads up. So you've got all of these, and I'll come back out and finish this later, but I just wanted to show you guys kind of what I had already gathered, so that when we go inside and look at how you pull the seeds off these, you guys would know. Actually, I forgot I had one more plant out here that I had gathered seeds from. So these are my hardy hibiscuses, and it doesn't look like there's any seed pods ready to come off, but I can show you kind of what that looks like. So you see up here, this is a spent bloom head that's starting to dry. And basically what happens is this part will come off. These are the, let me get the camera up there. These are the old petals. And then this right here, this part on the back, there's actually one right next to it. You can kind of see, so this part with the petals will fall out. And then this part on the back actually gets hard, and it kind of forms this really hard pod. I'll show you when we go inside. And when those get completely hard and they start to open just a little bit, that's when you can pull them off. I actually had come out here in deadhead, so there's just detritus from these plants, but I don't see any on here anymore that are ready, because it did push. It didn't do as spectacular a second bloom, but it did push a second round of blooms. I just don't see any that are ready, but this is the other seeds I have inside, or these are the other seeds I have inside. So I'll show you what their pods look like, but they basically just, you can see where I had kind of snipped off the heads, but you just, once they're hard, and they will be hard, almost like, not like pit of a peach hard, but pretty close. And you can just pull, I mean, they pop right off with your hands. These are not actually cut marks. These are just where I pulled them off and they broke off. Okay, so before I show you what I gathered and how you pull the seeds out of it, what I wanted to do is talk to you a little bit about how you identify seeds and kind of how you go about deciding if you can gather seeds from something, or if you should gather seeds from something, and all of that. So I would say start with the internet. The internet's your friend. Join a gardening community that is part of your zone. I'm part on Facebook of a couple of Zone 7B gardening groups. And I mean, the thing that I love about gardening so much is that it's such a communal space, and it's such a place of knowledge. And so the chances that somebody else has had the exact same thing happen to them and they're going to be able to help you are really high. So always, throw it out into the group and ask them questions. The other thing would be, know exactly what you've planted and just Google information about that particular species of what you've planted, that particular variety. So not just necessarily, like if you have a coneflower, you can Google, seed gathering coneflower and find out about it. But if you have one that's like a dwarf variety or tall variety, that will help you too. The seed gathering is probably going to be the same, but they might stratify differently. They might behave a little bit differently. So you also want to know if something is a sterile variety. So you're not out there harvesting seed heads that have no seeds in them. You might have a lot of butterfly bushes, for example, because they are incredibly invasive. You will not have the kind that are invasive. They will be illegal to buy in your state. So, if you wanted to, you'd have to propagate your butterfly bush. You couldn't gather seeds from it and grow it from seeds, that kind of thing. So that way you can find out if your variety is sterile, if it even has seeds, and then how you gather those seeds. So how long do you wait? Do they have to dry on the vine? What does it look like when they're ready? Because everything's a little bit differently, or everything works a little bit differently. So what I have gathered here on this table is, so these are, I had already started doing these, but these are from the Shastas out front. So these are Shastas. These are coneflowers. Those are Shastas down there, and then those are the seed pods from my hibiscuses. So I'm just gonna basically show you kind of one by one what the like how you do these, because these are all, the good thing about all of these is they're 3 different types of seed pods. So this is kind of a good primer, and then you can take it from there with specific breeds. But you can get so many seeds. I mean, you can see these are all the spent heads here. And I mean, this is probably 50 heads. And I mean, there's probably, I don't know, several thousand seeds in this pile. So let me get you in close and we'll talk about what each of these varieties is so that we can get a better idea. Okay, so these are the tall Shastas. So this is what kind of the dried heads look like. They're kind of crunchy, and if there's any petals left on them, they kind of curl underneath. And what you're gonna do is, if the flower you have has a head like this, you basically just kind of, so I have a whole pile going here. You basically just kind of pull with your thumbs and then all the seeds come out. They're so tiny. Let me do it this way so you can kind of see the little snowfall that happens there. I mean, it's hundreds of seeds that come off this head, and then the spent head looks like that. And I'm just putting these in a pile, and when I'm done, I'll throw them all in the compost. And then these, because there's so many of them, I have some of my seed packets down here. If there's not that many, I put them in seed packets. If there's this many and I want to save this many and I want to keep them dry, I put them in like canning jars, basically. You just want to keep them dry. Wherever you store them, put them in a dark, dry place. Dark's not as important as dry, but particularly when they're in a clear container and not in something that's solid, you just want to kind of keep them away from moisture and light. So that's this particular type. Now the next type I have over here, these are coneflower heads. And these are a puffball, and they're kind of prickly. So I would recommend doing this if you have decent, like, they don't have to be super long, but if you have a little bit of nail, I would pinch with your nails and not with your fingers, because they're not sharp like spines, but they will poke your fingers a little bit. So, and it's kind of hard to do this in gloves. I will tell you, like, having full dexterity in your fingers will make a big difference. So either do that, or you can get a pair of like needle nose pliers and just be very gentle when you're squeezing. Like, don't put full force on it, and use it that way, because that would also work. But basically what you want to do, let me set this down so I can show you, is the seed heads look like this. So it's like a big old puff ball, dried seeds all around. And then you're basically just gonna pinch and pull. And these are gonna take you a little bit more effort. They do stick a little bit more, and then you just kind of, it's the same kind of rain down, and they don't really look like, that's the thing, is I think a lot of times it's hard to tell what seeds are in things, because they just don't always look like seeds. But that's literally what these are. These little, like, you know, basically just kind of leafy, fluffy looking things are the seeds. So you're just pulling and making a pile, and then again, all of the spent heads will just go out in our compost. So that's kind of the puffball variety. These are also, these are the shorter, these are also a Shasta, but these are the shorter Shastas, I think. Like I said, I brought them in and kept them separate, but didn't actually label them. So just because I know that the bloom heads and those are a little smaller, and these are, it's hard to tell from between here, but like if you look at, so this is one head, and then this is a head from one of the bigger ones. So you can tell the bloom heads on the shorter one are smaller. So this one's just exactly the same. I've already got a pile started. You're just gonna kind of brush until it's empty, and then you make a pile, and you just brush until it's empty, make a pile. Now these right here are the hardy hibiscus heads. And These are really cool. So this is what I was talking about. So these right here, this was the outside of that when we looked at it. So all the petals are gone, you'll see. And then this was that papery outer center that held the middle of those bloom stalks. And this is super hard. You can hear this is just, it's really hard. There's nothing squishy about it. So what you want to do is take the papery part off and set that aside. And then what you want to look for, and let me see if I harvested any that were a little bit too early. It doesn't look like I did. It looks like I only pulled the ones that were ready. But what happens is with these, as you see how this is open at the top. So when it's open at the top, that means it's ready when it's starting to open, because it wants to open so that when these drop, the seeds can fall out, because it's trying to propagate itself, right? It's trying to create new life. So when they start, they'll start to get hard and they'll feel ready, but this will be totally closed. So when it's open like this is probably, it's hard to tell on camera, but I bet it's open probably half an inch from point to point. So when it gets ready like that, that's when you know it's ready to pull off the plant. And like I said, excuse me, they just pull right off. So here you're gonna take, and I would do this over a bowl. So this is what these little seeds look like. These actually look like seeds. So you're gonna pull it and you'll see, this is where it's really cool and it actually looks like seeds. Excuse me. So you're just gonna take your finger and you're just gonna push these out of here, and you're gonna push them into a bowl. And sometimes you'll see like a lot of them, and then other times, ooh, that one had a bug in it. Sometimes you'll see a lot of them, and sometimes they'll only have a little bit of them in there, and that's not and you can kind of just pull, like each one of these little tunnels has all of that. So you're just gonna keep going until you've got all the seeds out and you're comfortable that, you know, you've harvested what you want to harvest. And that's it. I may not harvest all of these seeds. This is a lot of, like, I've already done some of this over here. Oh, I have marigolds sitting here too. I'll show you those. I've already done up a pile over there, and like, I mean, this is more hibiscus seeds than you're ever gonna need. They're 4x4 plants. So it depends on what you're harvesting the seeds for, but this is a lot of seeds. So I may not do this whole big pile. I just brought a whole pile in. But then also over here, I have, these are kind of similar to the Shastas. So these are the heads from a marigold, and marigolds, I don't have any of those in the front. I actually keep these at my garden plot. Marigolds, when their blooms die, they close, and then they shrivel into this little packet. So when this is completely dry, it's like a tan packet. When these dry, you just pull it open, and these are all your seeds. They look like these little sticks. When I bought marigold seeds for the first time, I was so surprised at what they look like, but that's literally it. And again, like, you can see one bloom pod gets you probably 50 seeds. So I mean, it's so, like, if you start gathering seeds, you'll be surprised at how much you save every year. And what I like to do too is I pick the flowers that did the best. So I don't always gather seeds off of every single plant, but particularly the marigolds, like the ones that were a little hardier, that survived a little bit more cold, you know, that got a little bigger. Those are the ones I'll save, or the ones I really like the color. You know, you can kind of do that, and then you're perpetuating the breed of the ones that are hardier or have better traits for you. So yeah, you're just going to take and you're going to do that. And then I'll probably, these I probably will only save enough of to put in a packet, but these are the little packets I buy. I bought these on Amazon, and I just label them. What I do is I label them with the variety, and I always put the year in the corner just so I know how old the seeds are. The seeds don't really expire, and you know, the germination might get worse as years go on, but just the worst that can happen is something doesn't grow. So don't throw seeds away. It drives me crazy when people throw seeds away. Just plant them until they don't grow, and you know, and you don't have any of them left. So I'm going to finish harvesting all of these and put them away, but that's pretty much it. I just wanted you guys to kind of get to know what it's like. This is the time of year. It's like not quite fall, and But this is when everything starts to dry up and really want to put seed pods on. So let me know if you guys have any questions, or if you have any tips for me, because this is actually one of the first years I'm gathering seeds. I know about seed pods, but I'd love to hear what your experiences have been and what you guys know about it, and just learn whatever I can from you guys too. So have a great day. I hope everybody had a good week, and I will see you in the next one.